the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. And we have a speakers, Mr. Pankaj Wadhwa, CEO and Design Principal, Vastunidhi Architects. We heartily welcome you, sir. Mr. Anbu Shanmugham, Senior VP, BAM, Digital Realty. I heartily welcome you, sir. Mr. Girish Chandra, Technical Head, India, Datacenter Solutions, CBRE South Asia Private Limited. And Mr. Vishal Kalro, Director, Technology and Assurance, Adobe. I heartily welcome you, sir. And we have one more speaker, but got stuck with Bangalore traffic, so we apologize to receive him a bit late, but he will be joining us in a while. And I also request the moderator, Mr. Kiran, Katariya, to take a proper note on the best questions right after the discussion. We will be giving away for the best questions, sir. Thank you.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here sitting on this platform with the eminent panelists, leaders, and I should say stalwarts of the data center industry. We have people from end user, people who are building data centers, people who are designing it, and there are people who are introducing new technologies. The panelists also includes experts who do the risk assessment and tell you what is right and what is wrong. We have been hearing since morning about data center, and we all know that data center is at the core of digitization. There are multiple drivers. Enough has been talked about it. We know the data need to be stored, and there is huge amount of data that gets generated. Economy need growth. Agricultural need artificial intelligence. Government need lot of processes. You have ERP that needs data. You have localization of data that the trends has been happening. And there are a lot of other initiatives which brings data center at the core of this digital revolution. Data centers has come a long way. Earlier people used to differentiate data center as a captive one and the enterprise one, or the co-location one. And now there are multiple names given to them based on their applications and the business requirements. So we have hyperscale data centers, we have cloud data centers, we have edge data centers, and so on. As the consumption need becomes more, the criticality and complexity of data center needs to be considered. And that is where new technology needs an introduction. And our panel discussion is based on the newer technology that will shape the future of data center. We are going to discuss about technology, but the question is what all we can cover in this next 45 minutes. Because data center has got many technologies. We have technologies around power infrastructure, mechanical systems, fire suppression, IBMS, there is network, there is LAN, WAN, SAN, compute and storage. So we are going to do justice with all of them, and we are trying to give you a glimpse of where we are heading, what is right and what need to be corrected about your data centers. So I would like to give a quick introduction about myself, and then I will ask the panelists to give their introduction, and then we'll get into a topic. My name is Kiran, Katariya. I am a certified data center specialist. I am a registered communication distribution designer in this industry since last 15 years. I run a company called as Relight ICT Consulting, where we help our clients do the designing of IT and telecommunication network. We work with many clients who are from the co-location industry, who are from the hyperscalers and cloud computing. So we have a team of experts who are internationally certified and expertise on this field, on data communication, any type of communication that we call it as. We call it as ICT, Information and Communication Technology. So thank you very much for you attending this session. I would like the panelists to give their quick introduction so that we move into the topic first. Anbu sir, will start with you. Yeah. You need to switch on. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Right. We are at 750 megawatt of capacity as of now. So I was fortunate enough to be part of it, almost for 150 megawatt. So we are looking for next about 1.5 gigawatt of capacity. We are also looking for certain percentage of it That's how my journey is. Otherwise, I was basic telco, network, and power infra. So my career path is like this from 2000. So from the start of data center, I was fortunate enough to be part of it, to see the evolution coming through, and equally anxious and passionate enough for the next technology. That's it. That's it about me.
Sure, thank you. Mr. Pankaj, if you could introduce yourself. Can you have one more mic, please?
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Pankaj Wadhwa. I've been into this industry for a pretty long time now, 24 years now. Started building data centers, designing them right from a small data center, and now going up to 100 megawatt total capacity, power load. And so I'm primarily responsible for master plan, architecture, structure, and final coordination with all the services, whether it's MAP, safety, security, involved in the complete design. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Girish, if you can introduce yourself.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I am Girish Chandra. I am a data center solution designer from Uptime and certified from TIA. I am part of CBRE, and I had that data center solution technical role for India. CBRE now, coming up for the data center solution in India. Although we do that in Europe and APAC, and now we have a huge team. We are already in project management, and again, that complete from your starting of due diligence of site selections, due diligence of that site, plus project management of that. So we are associated with, I think, every hyperscaler, I would say, in India. And we have a large team, around 2,100 people in only to managing that projects. So in data center solution, we have, that particular focus on that project management. Then we have principal contracting, and then we are into that white space also. So with that, I am going to hand over this mic to my next friend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Vishal, I'd like to hear from you.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. This is Vishal. I am part of Adobe. I lead the global technology and cybersecurity assurance vertical for Adobe. And I come from a risk background. My core expertise has been from a risk perspective, look at things. And I look at, not only data centers, but more on the products, applications, infrastructure risk, and data center from a risk perspective. That's what I'm trying to add value to the group here. From a risk standpoint, how do we look at when we are scaling the data centers into the new paradigm of the new technology like AI, how do we look at it from the risk standpoint?
Right, welcome all. So Vishal, your role is very crucial about the risk and how do you connect this with the data centers. So I would like to start from you. You talked about the risk mitigation and various compliances. So irrespective of data center, the data protection and the security of data is very important to you. So how do you correlate these things with the data center and the current perspective of data center where you see, we know the role of risk mitigation is very important, but can you put a context to it, and what are the things that you see need to be followed when we talk about data protection and data security?
Sure, Kiran. So the way I look at the entire flow, if I was to go out and secure a data center, or suppose we are building a data center here, or this room we need to secure, there should be a reason why we are securing this room. For people's sake, there are key delegates here, there should be a reason why we are securing this room. So from the same perspective, as we know, data center hosts a lot of data for us, IP and other key elements, and hence the security of the data center itself is important. And very often there is a understanding that when we talk about the security of a data center, it's primarily the physical security, but it's much beyond that. So talk about a product that is critical to you, your IP, or something that you're selling to your customer, and that product, you have taken care of the security of the product, be it from a web application firewall, be it from AppSec, be it from vulnerability assessment, everything you have done. Then that product runs on a server there's a database, underlying database. You have taken care of the database security. You have taken care of the server security. Everything you have done that. That's the general cybersecurity workflow or cycle that you look at. Now, what about the hosting environment? What about the environment? The hosting environment has many software management systems like the SolarWinds Orange software, or there are many other BMS. There are many solutions. The software solution which manage my hosting environment. AWS solution which manage my AWS cloud. So there are so many other software solutions which are integrated with your hosting environment, be it private or public cloud, that needs to be looked into as well from a security or from a risk perspective. Be it your IoT connected lighting system, be it your CCTV, camera and other devices that are running in your data center or a hosting environment for the matter of fact, be it private or public cloud. All of that put together, in my mind, constitutes the overall security or the protection for your data out there, which is hosted in that environment.
So when you say about this security and risk assessment, is there any standard practices or any global practices that you follow? Is there any framework? Like in data center, we have TI 942A, or there's an guidelines given by Uptime Institutes. So is there any specific thing that you would like to mention here that you follow while doing these assessments?
So I would say TI 942, as you rightly pointed, is more data center environment driven, more for the setup and infrastructure. I would say it is no different than, say, your ISO 27001 or your SOC 2 or your PCI compliance. They start with your service or the products, but they end in the environment in which your product and services are hosted. So I'm not aware of any specific data center related cybersecurity regulation, but I would defer to these information security regulation which we work closely with for our products and services, which translate into the hosting environment. That's how I look at it. And then the supply chain risk vectors. If there is HVAC, that system that you have installed, if there's a remote management systems that are managing your servers and all, there's a third party who has access to your data center for whatever reasons. So a lot of those supply chain risk vectors also need to be looked at. But from a regulation perspective, I would defer to these upstream regulations.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Vishal. Mr. Anbu, I would like to come to you. You must have seen now generations of data centers, and you have witnessed this revolution when people used to call 6 kilowatt per rack used to be high density rack, and now that has moved beyond 15 kilowatt to 20 kilowatt per rack. There are a lot of things which have changed. We are talking about hyperscaler data centers. We are talking about 100 gig and 400 gig backbone connectivity. We are talking about service provider coming from multiple routes. The complexity has increased, so as the responsibility of data center operator also increased. So what do you see need to be changed in terms of not only the adoption of technology, but in terms of designing and the business model? Could you please throw some light on this?
Yeah, right. So obviously we are not building the data centers how it was built 10 years back. Even in 2014-15, it is completely different. So after the entry of the hyperscalers in 2018 and all, completely changed. We have changed the scale, we have changed the way we deploy the infrastructure. So if we take the innovation front, if you are looking at how we are adapting ourselves to the innovation happening on the servers, happening on the network side. So let me take out few pointers, 3 pointers, leaving away the one most important pointer, that is ease of doing business in India. So that is always spoken in every forum. So leaving that, that is something we are living with and we are good at it. So that's fine. So leaving away, then how we are evolving to meet the changing demand is that, there are challenges, 3 challenges if I have to pick it up. First is the construction methodology, that every building we put across, leave away the approvals. It takes 2 years, right? Our construction methodology is completely rudimentary. So if you take North America, they built it and tilt it. That's how they do it. Within 6 months they can build one floor of data center with the required spec and everything without compromising anything. The floor loading increases from 1500 kg to now 2200 kg per square meter. Obviously we cannot moving into the in-country because of the security reasons or fiber connectivity reasons. So we are concentrated within the metros, right? So obviously the land value is high, so we are going up. The construction methodology is a great challenge that we are looking to overcome. That is one. Second is that the building the equipments, if you put an electrical panel, if you put a mechanical component, it used to come in, bits and pieces and integrate in one place. So it takes a lot of time, a lot of testing time. Every time a data center is announced that it will go live by this date, always obviously takes 6 months more. That is typical Indian standard it was. So now we are looking at prefab kind of things. We put it in a skid, everything, UPS, and the ecosystem in one place, get it in a controlled environment, get it tested there, including the IBMS connectivity, bring it there, plug and play. That's the kind of model we are evolving onto the second aspect. Third is into, so obviously if you take the OEMs, DGset, UPS has got a very matured industry in India. They are really adapting. Some areas like, DGset, I have to take means that we are capped at 2200 kVA. This is the right size of Indian capacity because this is what the economy sits in, right? It's about $100 per kilowatt. So if we ask next higher size capacity, 2500 kilowatt or 20,000 or 2000 kilowatt of deliverable power or anything, it will be about $200 per kilowatt. So the ecosystem has not developed fully that, if you take that engine, the Indian component will be 70%, 80%. If you go to the next size, the Indian component is very little, about 10% to 20%. Obviously, we cannot compete into that kind of DG sets. We cannot be competitive, market competitive. But globally, if you see the rates of data center build, in Europe it is $9 million per megawatt. We are doing it at 5.5 to 6 million per megawatt with this kind of setup. Obviously, we have to scale up. This is what we are looking at a future that this construction methodology and prefab and onto the OEM, if they can evolve bit more better and get into the next categories of sizes, obviously we'll be super competitive, super economical and reliable in the market, we can say globally. So that's what the aspect we are looking at this moment. Coming very specific to one of our case on the chiller, right? In 2014 and all, we used to have the commercial chillers used in data centers that used to take 5 minutes to give a full capacity. Then we went to purpose-built data centers, purpose-built chillers for the data centers that used to give the full capacity within 180 seconds. Now we got our own high efficient chillers, that is maglev chillers, which we manufactured within India. First time we are doing it for our project. There are a lot of thought process behind it, and somehow we got the gut to do that. We brought the technology, we are getting it done. So we're matching globally what best can be done. The other part of the world, what they are doing it. We are able to take that faith forward to implement it in India. So that's a great opportunity, I can say.
Right, sir. Thank you very much. I will come back to you on that cost part in the second round. I would like to move to Mr. Pankaj. Sir, we have seen the data center were part of building earlier. Now we see there are independent buildings of data center, and now that has evolved to data center park. There are multiple buildings are set for data centers. We hear a lot about newer technologies. We hear a lot about reducing the cost and integration of multiple things. When we talk about the new technologies, can you give us some perspective from an architectural background, architectural point of view, about the new technologies that you see need to be bring into design consideration, along with the regulations or the considerations which need to be stressed more about?
Yeah, so what is happening is one is the regulation part, and the other is we are seeing a lot of disasters happening in terms of earthquakes coming in and the climate disasters happening. So safety of the data center per se is also become very important now. So as earthquakes, most of Indian our country is covered under earthquake zones, except one or two which are considered to be the safest. So we are now deploying seismic dampeners everywhere to see. There were 4 categories of buildings earlier, or even now. One is the collapse-free structures, the other is life safety, then is immediate occupancy, and then it's operational buildings. Now, data centers need to be operational in case there is any disaster. So in order to achieve that, even if there is an earthquake, the building needs to keep functioning. So we are putting in seismic dampeners now, so that the minimal shocks are there in the building. The building is able to absorb those shocks completely, and the entire facility remains functional. So that is not only covering the civil structure or the building, it is also covering all the MEP services also, and even the firefighting systems. So the building which is now being designed, if we are in zone 4, we are doing it to an importance factor of 1.5. But the services, if I say the firefighting services, they go to the importance factor of 2. So we are bracing all those services in order to absorb the shocks, even the chiller lines and all. Because if there is shaking in the building during earthquake, and if those chiller lines break, there will be flooding outside. Right. So in order to control all this, we are doing all this. Similarly, for lightning arrestor systems, the new code is there. And so we are putting all those lightning arrestor right from the basement with their earth pits through the columns, all the external columns, and then taking them to the rooftop for safety. Because you see, recently there have been a lot of lightning mishaps. Right. And few of data centers have failed because of not catering to this aspect, right, which is not considered important initially, but operationally. But
why do you think that people ignore this?
I think probably lack of information is there, right, and I think also a little more effort going into detail. Nobody wants to, right, really, because civil part is.
So there is always a hurry to complete the project.
Yes, a hurry to complete the project,
right,
and just create a box. So data centers are not box buildings. They are much more than that.
Right. Thank you, sir. I would like to come to Girish with you. You are at CBRE and you know data center inside out. You engage with data centers starting from the strategy level to the complete handover. We know the law of energy, that energy cannot be created, it cannot be destroyed. It can just be converted from one form to another. And in data center, we deal with energy day in and day out. So what's your take on increasing this PUE or bringing in new technologies from a mechanical system perspective? Because we see a lot of proprietary technologies are getting incorporated into data center. With due respect to all the OEMs, everybody say that our solution is much better than the others. So when we actually calculate this PUE, how detailed measuring that happens till the rack end level? Because we say that we do the PUE measurement at the rack level or the U level or the room level. So what is your take on measuring this PUE, and then how do we going to maximize efficiency of the data center?
Yes. So I think we all are the users of data center. The moment this device comes in your hand, so you are part of the data center. So in today's world, in the data center technology and the data center designer do have a challenge to design a data center, climate neutral data center. So that we call climate neutral data center. So when we say this climate neutral is nothing but what kind of new technology we are bringing in our design stage and what kind of, the new innovation we are doing in our design. So that is important, because whatever energy I am taking today from any source, so that I'll have to give it back to them. So with these challenges, there are many technologies which are coming into the market. So I will talk about the few technologies, and then of course my friend asked me the question about PUE. Yeah. That is also one of the major. So optimizing energy in any data center, that's play the major role. So how you select that your product, how efficient those are, and what kind of, the solar energy and other resources, renewable energy we are using for our data center. So that is our prime responsibility now, to take all those natural resources and convert into some energy and then use it into data center. Because the world is going to change. The way we are doing now, it is, we need like many planets to live us. So I was going, I'm just, talk about one of my experience. I was going with one of the app where they have asked many questions into that. So about our living style. So the moment I started putting my living style, what we do on the regular basis, drive the car for 50 kilometer, eat and veg, non-veg, whatever it is, and then public transport is very less. So cut in short that when I came to the results, so they shown me that if you are living into this style, you need 5 planets, Earth, that to live it. So imagine that if everyone is living like me, where we will go? So it is all our responsibility that, optimizing our energy in terms of, new innovation, in terms of new technologies. Now coming up into the data centers, so there are many technologies which is coming up, which gives that good advantage to preparing any data center. If you talk about that cooling technology, now new technologies are introduced in market that is called liquid immersion cooling. So that is also giving a lot of advantage to that. And over and above that, what kind of renewable energy I talked about, that solar and other things we are adopting for our data centers. So that is also give a advantage to us. And now what the next role is of in any designer is that what kind of automation we are doing in data center. We are designing the data center, but the automation is play a vital role. Means if I'm going to use my data center, let's say 30% of in the day one, typical example, 30% of usage of data center. So why do I use, and why do I run my all chiller, why do I run my all UPS? So that's all automation works. If I have a automation tools in place, right? So that automation tools will, see where we can optimize or save the energy. And that automation tools is, working 24/7. No human interaction. Why do we require a human interaction in any data center? No, not at all. Not at all. Do everything automation. Once the automation will come, automatically your energy consumption will be in your control. And you can see by this device. This is a smart device anyway. So this device gives you all your live monitoring on your, on your hands.
So you are saying we are going to increase the PUE by the automation?
Yes. So if you do this kind of tooling, that definitely is increasing your PUE.
Right.
Now everyone is talking about the PUE. Some of people are claiming that 1.3, 1.2 and many more that is coming. That practically, if you'll say, this all depends on this kind of technology, the tools what we are using. And those tools, how we can improve at the, really at the ground level.
Right.
And monitoring is the other part. So if the monitoring is happening in the proper way, that means definitely you have the real-time data with you.
Yeah.
Right? The moment you are going here and there, so you will come to know that what is the status of your PUE in running.
Right, right.
The decade back I'm talking about, there was, a lot of designer who, that designed fantastic, but there was no monitoring, there was no real time at that time. But today we are, and I think everyone of co-location and hyperscaler, this industries is adopting that.
Yeah,
I think everyone
with the help
has
of
that.
Different
tools.
DCIM tools, we are getting
Yes,
more and more.
yes, yes. So everyone, I think,
Yeah.
has that tools.
Thank you, Girish. Thank you very much, Mayank, for coming in. We were waiting for you. So great that you could make to the panel discussion. Now you become a part of this panel discussion because you have come from the end user side. And as an end user, you definitely want a data center to be more reliable, more scalable, and more availability, right? We normally hear this term like lift and shift, wherein you do a lot of migrations when you want to migrate from on-premises to the cloud or to co-location service provider. So being an end customer, what exactly that you look your data center should be good enough for all these things? Because we know that you need a 99.99% availability. But other than that, if you can share us with some case study or your real life experiences as an end customer, which can rate the performance of your cloud provider or colo provider, it will be good for us.
Yeah, thank you so much. And sorry for 20 minutes late. When I was hearing, I was going almost my 8-9 years back journey when I was maintaining on-premise data center. Then suddenly IBM came. They have ISR, integrated server rack, unified central console is there. You can check it. Then we put it to our management. We got management approval. We deployed. After a couple of years, when we started our SAP HANA implementation, then we thought on-premise is not suitable. A couple of partners says you should go colo. So we decided, okay, we should go colo. Yeah. We moved to a very good data center. Then just a couple of years back, then again we thought, okay, no, we should move to cloud. Right. So I have seen this journey very closely, and what are the challenges comes for the CIOs or IT heads when they are migrating. During discussion, presentation, everything looks fine, and especially when it comes to the commercial, it looks more attractive, more exciting journey. It's a true fact, yes, scalability, agility, availability is there, but there are some hidden facts are also there. One I feel is the actual regression and load testing, which we all say, okay, first we move to non-critical application, we move to development application, we move to quality application. If it is running fine, then we touch production. So it's all, everyone does it, and this is the only process I see. Yeah. But when we move to production, we, as per my experience, or I learned it like we missed the load regression testing. First point. Second point is the interface testing when it comes to a third-party compliance-related applications, be it IRN, be it GST, and major issue comes with your banking integrations. Banking generally, banking side also, they have some freeze period during month end or first week of the month. So they don't do changes at their end, at their firewall. So these are the few experience. After once your application move, your integrations are working fine, then we found, okay, load is not working. Compute, whatever committed, compute is being utilized 100%. So these are the challenges which get settled over the period of time. I still see there should be something where we can see the actual number of users of load. Presentation I heard, it's there, but actual load testing, integration testing, government provided IRN for, they have staging server, but still the number of invoices when it comes to on month end, or especially on the festival sites, it's altogether a different experience. So I would like, this is my experience. I can add more, but due to positive.
So, I'm sure you must have tried most of these technologies, like keeping your data on premises or going with public cloud or with a hybrid kind of cloud arrangement. So what are the considerations that you follow when you select a particular technology or particular model? What are the factors that you consider? Because nowadays we see data center operators start giving multiple services. They give infrastructure as a service, software as a service, or migration as a service. So you as an end customer or end client, what are your biggest consideration while deciding on these factors? I'm sure cost comes on priority, but other than cost, when you talk about a technical perspective, what are the things that you want to tick mark and say that, okay, if 1, 2, 3 is available, then I will go with this. So can you just...
Yeah. Cost, I'll say, for a large organization or stable organization, cost always a secondary. First comes is the availability of the applications. Second is the resource availability. Third, which is again, I'd say is the topmost, is the security.
Right. So security is one of the aspects on that. So that brings me to you, Vishal. When you talk about security, when we talk about this hybrid kind of culture, security is also now pushed onto the clouds, right? So we have a concept called as SD-WAN, which is getting more popular as compared to the MPLS or different kind of VPN technologies. So how do you consider this as security moving into the cloud? Because I'm sure that nobody gives you, although people say that your data is secure, how do you consider security aspects or risk mitigation plans or cyber security when you are interacting with these clouds or maybe to your end clients?
So, while, when you go to a cloud provider or a data center provider, you talk to them about the offerings they have. Today, security is one of the key offering.
Yeah.
Data protection, privacy, data governance bill which is coming in. So that's a key offering. That's like it's given, but nothing is given. While they may have features which will enable security, but it will not implement security. It will support. So you as an end customer or consumer of that service, be it cloud or hosting service, whatever it is, you need to configure your products, your services, or the cloud to that security level based on the criticality of the services running on that system. And then you are responsible for monitoring that security as well. So one is not configuring and forgetting, monitoring, and reassessing that security posture from time to time, be it quarterly, annually, whatever that is. Reassessing, probably implementing some self-healing security solutions where if something has been misconfigured or some engineer by mistake posted a code and something went wrong, your self-healing capability picks it up and reconfigures it to the original security level. Having exception process built in, having your security standards dictating all of that. So it's the entire cycle that applies to your standard private cloud setup, goes to your public cloud as well. The only benefit I see in public cloud is there are a lot of features already available to you to leverage. So it's a learning by itself, but there is a lot of things already available out of box. You need to understand how to use it. You need to monitor and manage, and you should be good to go.
Right. So I'm sure it is a difficult task when you struck a balance between operational efficiency and the security. But thanks to the different framework that you have mentioned earlier, that you take care of about this.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Thank you, Vishal. I will come to you, Mr. Anbu. You have mentioned about you have thrown some figures about the cost in your first round, particular $1 million per particular kilowatt or megawatt. When do you want to achieve those targets? Definitely, you have to reduce the cost and you want to complete your project on timing. How does you deal with the introduction of new technologies? Because I'm sure when you work for a hyperscaler, you have particular aspects in mind. Accordingly, you need to construct or build your data center. When you talk about colo operators, the considerations are different. So how do you strike this balance between reducing the cost, completing the project on fast track, as well as introduction of new technologies? So with your expertise and your wisdom, could you throw some light on this aspect, which will tell us that technology is there, that's good, but how do you adopt those technologies and make sure that it is being introduced in a reputed cost or in a reduced cost?
Right. The data centers are always challenged for their flexibility, right? Yeah. Rightly said that there are different requirements, right, from the capacity of the rack from 2 kilowatt to 30 kilowatt. There will be some racks will be unique size, and there are racks battery within. So we have to see the different fire protection system for it. There are different kind of challenges comes in, and fortunately the talent pool what we have in India is really good enough. We are known for it always that, so whatever customer comes in, right, we create the core and shell ready, that we keep the MEP flexibility, keep it, even the non-rise floor, the kind of power, the kind of cooling they are looking for, we keep it flexible completely to the last end, that we can customize it for the requirement of colo or the hyperscaler or change in the firefighting system. That is on the flexibility. So coming into the technology, how it helps on the cost, more than cost, it is about more into the time to deploy, right? It's always the predictability, how easily we can predict the project, how the project is repeatable in some other zone. Unfortunately, whatever the project we are doing in Mumbai, it cannot be completely replicated in Chennai. The rules are different, right? So leaving that, we are bringing in the technology for the modularization of it, right, to an extent. This is what we will be doing it. if there's a high end of the cooling, this is our system, right? We freeze that kind of high sides so that, so the people adapting to that then don't do much mistakes into replicating it. No, that is what ultimately comes into the predictability and the benefit of innovation can be reaped further. Otherwise, we are really good at frugal engineering. We change a system bit and go and implement. So we are in the right track at this moment that there are a lot of deployments are happening that if we tweak the cooling system a bit, so we can always test it within 6 months time. So after 6 months tweak further or replicate everywhere, right? So there is replicability gives lot of benefit for us in terms of the cost. So we don't have to go on to drawing board again and again, draw up this kind of system for as a ring main system or cooling system, or if it is a distribution system, block redundancy or distributed redundancy into the power. So these are all not experimented again and again. These are all frozen to an extent. So that repeatability gives the benefit in terms of taking it to the next stages. So I think that is the two part of the questions. Yeah. And
so you are not only on the right track, sir. You are very fast track on developing a new premises. So right. Congratulations to you. I will come to Pankaj quickly. Yeah, when I interacted with customer during one of the conversation, they tossed a term called zero discharge. Yeah. And there are many considerations that people tend to focus more. So from an architect, what is your perspective on this zero discharge? If you can quickly give us a perspective.
Yeah, so zero discharge sites basically mean you are not discharging any sewage or any wasting any rainwater out of your site. So you are recycling it or storing it for future use. So we are now aiming at all sites as zero discharge sites. So we are really storing all the rainwater, maybe use it for gardening and then treating it, and then maybe using it for chillers and other uses also. Right. Of course, the toilets and other things and cleaning part. And as far as you talk about your electronic waste, everything right from paper to the electronic waste gets recycled. Right. And maybe given to places if the technology gets outdated in poor areas where all these things still are a requirement. Yeah. And so sustainability in terms of reuse and completely. Right, right. So nothing gets wasted or burnt anywhere. Right, sir, right. Thank you. And also, like, even if your kitchen waste is there, so organic waste converters are being put in. So right from dead leaves to organic waste is getting converted and being reused as a method. Yeah,
so basically it is a measure not to pollute the environment.
Yes.
On a pretty broader term.
Yes.
Right, sir. Thank you. So I'm coming to Girish for a last question. We know that the footprints of these equipments are reducing. The sizes of the equipments have been reducing and they are consuming more and more power. The only thing is that we need to get more and more bandwidth and applications coming out of them. So these definitely have a higher impact on the design. And while answering the question of PUE, you have mentioned about automation. So quickly, could you throw some light on this AI, artificial intelligence, and how that is relevant to you? How does it affect your data center design? And if you want to major in PUE or any sustainability thing, how AI is going to help? We have 3 minutes to go, so if you can.
Yeah, that's, I think, good question. Yeah. So, you know, everyone, that how AI play a role in today's world. So I would say that the data center, which are AI powered, and machine learning algorithm they do for predictive analysis. Whatever, you know, operations we are doing in a data center, so that AI play a major role over here. So for a operation manager, the task is that, you know, reduce the energy, optimize whatever the resources they have, right? And how efficient they can work. So the AI play a major role in all those things to improving that. So how the AI works, basically? The AI works on that, you know, you have a data available with you, let's say DCIM or BMS or something. And behind that, whatever data you are collecting from the end devices or IoT devices. So the data is coming to that AI, and AI platform is reading it and then analyzing and then giving you a report kind of thing. Yeah, this your end devices is going to have this kind of performance now. And after 2 months, this will be the performance. So what is the benefit part is that for any operation manager, that he can go and take a necessary action on that. So taking that necessary action or the pre-action kind of thing, that really help to them to one, that is, no downtimes, no fault on that, and also that he is going to increase the efficiency and energy of that particular entire data center. So this is how that main role of AI. And I'll give you one example that I was going through some of that articles. Recently, Google has done that AI to their operation side of data center and on the cooling side. And they have saved around 40% of their energy cost just by doing AI, implementing the AI on the cooling side. The moment we will do this for the entire data center, how much energy we can save. Imagine that. So that we have a tool available with us, right? And if you are going to right utilization of that tool, I'm sure that the data industries will boom like anything in India, and also that technology, new trends, adoption will also happening, and then people will adopt those technology.
Right, Girish. Thank you very much. The topic technology itself is very near to our heart. We can talk endless hours on this, being a design consultant into this. But I think we have to wrap up this session and see how efficient we are. We have saved half a minute. We're concluding before the time, and that's what the beauty of an adoption of technology into design is. So thank you very much for the patience listening. Thank you for the panelists. If you have any questions in the audience, yes sir, please. Can you have a mic?
Here, my question is to any of the panelists to answer. See, you have spoken a lot about other aspects regarding data centers, but what about this heat and radiation effects on the ecology? We have seen that climatic changes have taken place due to depletion of ozone layer. Now, are there any standards for emission of this?
We are particularly talking about the ozone layer, that obviously the phasing out of the cooling gases, this is happening. Of course, in India, we haven't brought in the latest gas European Union is using. We are also trying to experiment, we can bring it in. In fact, our latest chiller purchase is capable of using that kind of gas. So coming into the radiation and other aspects, see the global, it is going for more of an aggregation. Aggregation means that, so we cannot leave away our luxury, right? Everybody need to have a phone. That is democracy. That so the more photo we click, more data center is required. So what we are contributing is into the aggregation, and aggregation per se gives the economy of scale into the efficiencies of operation and reliability. So that itself is a bigger scale. If assume that it is completely decentralized, everywhere it is cluttered around, all the data centers are stored, obviously the energy usage for this data center will be 3 times of what we are using today, right? The aggregation, the professionals coming into this team, and the PUE, what we are bringing it in, it was starting about 1.7 in a tropical environment like this, that we are going up to 1.3 now with the sustainable chillers, not the water cooled chillers. We are going up to that range. Obviously, this all protects the environment to that extent. The aggregation helps us. That we can say that in a positive way. That's it.
Yeah, I have my question here. That is, from the business side perspective, if you look at, there are a lot of disruptions happening, like SAP and other things, they are moving on public cloud. Whereas you have HPE, Dell coming with Green Lake and Apex, bringing back to on-prem. So data centers is in an unenviable task now, actually, how to optimize cost, optimize energy, still attract businesses. So what will be the future for this? When we have been pulled from both sides, one is a public cloud of SAP, like, and the other thing is on-prem, going back to on-prem like Green Lake and Apex.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, good question that, because one way we are going to the hyperscaler and co-locations of data center, and same time we are talking about that, core critical data which will be run on-prem, right? These are the two things basically is happening parallelly. So what is that, how the trend is happening? We have a hyperscaler co-location where this, you can take that immediate of your whatever your need and the requirements, that for the immediate they do have a large scale of the data hall available, so you can utilize their data center. And secondly, that coming into that how the core computing, because still there are people thinks about there is some cyber security attack or something, so for that everyone keeps that critical data with them on prem, right? This is the reason, because it is not open to everyone, that all core banking, like the bank people take that data on prem only. They don't want to go into the cloud. And secondly, what is happening now that in new trend is that edge computing, because as much of the data you are using, let's say now the 5G is rolling out, right? So the data, whatever the compute, that should be closer to your end user. So where end user is sitting, let's say end user is sitting in somewhere outside of that metropolitan city, right? So we need a data connectivity closer to the user, not the far away from there. If I have a data center in Mumbai and my user sitting in, let's say, from Bangalore, 40 kilometers away from the Bangalore. So what is happening? How he's doing that? How he's playing the game? Let's say a boy is playing the game, right? So the data is again going back to the Mumbai and is coming out. So reducing that data latency. So that new trend is that going closer or nearest to the users, so that compute part will play a major role. And that's why you can, without any interruption, you can have your gaming or anything, you are streaming some video or anything, that can be possible. So there are two aspects, and that will go along with that needs of that society.
Thank you, Girish. Any other questions?
So one last question here.
Yeah, Mayank, please.
I would like to answer this point because these thoughts keep coming on my mind. So I take it example, if I have to buy a bunch of fruits, shall I go different shop, or I go to one shop, take all the basket of that fruit, where one shop will take the complete ownership. With that, I'll try to answer your question.
There is one more element to what you mentioned about SAP and HP. It depends upon the business model. What is SAP trying to sell? Is it trying to sell a subscription-based solution to its customers, which is the future, like S/4HANA and all? Or you're talking about their core in-house infrastructure, their DMZ and all. So a lot of this public cloud move that has happened to AWS and everything, if you see all the SaaS service providers, they want to focus on their products and their features rather than worrying about hosting. At the same time, every company will have a private cloud setup, as he mentioned that, from a sensitivity of the data and all. But based on the service model, business model, I don't see manufacturing having a need for a public cloud. Say Tesla and all, while they will have some presence in public cloud, but I don't see why they need to really go to public cloud. So that's also one of the ways of looking at it.
So one last question for any of here. Yeah. So we discussed about how AI helps, enhancing or increasing the profitability of the data centers. So, but we are not focusing on how AI is a threat in the future. For example, if ChatGPT is just feed it with 570 GB of data with 150 million of parameters. So how we can trust AI in future, present or in future? We are giving TBs of data, and we are just trusting that AI. So in future, if any risk over there, and how are we going to mitigate that, and what are the costs going to be involved for that particular data sectors? So I just want any of the panelists to answer this.
So you are saying, if I understood your question right, you're saying how do we trust the use of AI in data center? Is that what you're trying to get at?
Yes, if any risk the AI gonna be a threat for sometimes later point. So how we are going to prevent that? As a proactive measures, what we gonna do? That is what my question is.
Yeah, so there are two aspects to AI in context of data center. One, AI related systems hosted in the data center, or AI being used for data center operational efficiencies, right? So as you rightly said, AI is to be here and it's going to be the future. I mean, it's about how you manage the risk, you know, when it comes to AI. You need to have some guardrails. You need to have some AI ethics practices. You need to know the source of data, be it on whatever the use case for the AI would be it in the data center operational efficiencies as well. You need to know where the data is coming from. You need to put those guardrails to start with. The data authenticity, that we call it in our risk term, data authenticity, is very important because, you know, when we talk about the future of data centers, it's not about the future of the technologies related to data center, but it's about the future of the risk as well. With AI, the risk is exponentially growing, and there are completely different attack vectors that we could imagine that we have not seen so far. Then quantum, you know, quantum computing is going to come up. That's going to speed up the evolution of AI. So what I'm trying to get at is the core of AI is from the AI governance, AI data authenticity, AI regulations, then from the AI ethics to start with. And that's how we need to build or design our data center thinking of all those risks in mind so that we don't run into problems. Does that answer your question, or did I miss out something?
Anybody up for the question? This will be a last question, sir.
Yeah, hi. So my question is, I mean, we have seen the legacy, right, of the data center from past 10 years, where we are currently. So how do you see the future after 10 years? I mean, do you think that will be the significant change in terms of technology with the AI and all the latest tool available? And what would be the impact on our children's, right? I mean, they are now really tech savvy. So far, where we were, right, at the child, we are not having that much technology, but now they are really smart kids, I would say. So how do you see that future, I mean, for every person?
Yeah, of course, you know, we are adapting it, you know, much faster way. So at this moment, we are using AI into the security systems, you know, analysis and improvements. So coming into the operation, fine balance need to be seen that, you know, we cannot implement straight away that reliability is more important. So assume that we are in this room that the door opens automatically, the HVAC need to ramp up on its own to supply more air so that, you know, we are not feeling starved. You know, that is the kind of things. So suddenly the server load goes up, and it can be sensibly we can see that instead of going for micromanaging the, you know, server level, taking the inputs, seeing that thermal image, that we can augment the cooling for that. You know, the operational efficiency, the POCs are on, obviously. We are implementing in a smaller way. So it is going to be, you know, as the technology matures, as we look for this adoption is going to increase, obviously. Next 10 year, we are going to see in such a way that we can host any kind of servers. You know, now we are getting into the liquid immersion cooling. So we don't go for even air-cooled environment, water-cooled environment, we are trying it out. Obviously, people will move into more efficient, more reliable data centers. So that will be the top points. Then the technology will be anything, right? Agnostic. You know, whatever the best technology comes in, we will be taking it for these top requirements of best, you know, efficient and reliable data centers. That's how it is going to be. Faster data centers, yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Just the last point. There are endless possibilities of what could be the future of data center. But from an infrastructure side, there are many micro or edge data centers which are going to come, wherein your data centers will be as near as to the generation of the data. And that is where your low latency applications, when you need to move fast, have a higher response that comes to be in picture. So edge data center is something that people are already adapted, and many data center operators have started developing the edge data center, which will be the smaller in the size, but higher in the numbers of the quantities. And that is where we see a lot of penetration happening into B and C class cities, where data centers are moving near to the edge, near to the source.
One last, I add, next 10 years I see security is evolving, but next 10 years, every organization, large organization, they have to work on sustainability. Now it's a mandate came from the government, large organization has to declare their ESG scores. So they have to submit their ESG score, and be it food, water, energy, safety, or whatever, heat, it will become. And sustainability is even India or large great nations, they have a target to go carbon neutral. So I see sustainability is going to be a next boom I see in the.
Yep. Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the wonderful panelists who discussed, and the panel discussion was really persuasive, really so informative. Thank you so much for Mr. Moderator, Mr. Kiran Katariya, for handling this beautifully. Thank you so much. And I request Ms. Shraddha to please get the mementos.